So at the beginning of 2023, I asked my friends on Facebook and I think Instagram to recommend me books to read for the rest of the year. And so at the beginning of 2024, or the end of 2023, beginning of 2024, I did the same thing again. Asked my friends books that they recommend that I should read in 2023. I'm actually on Goodreads right now because one of my friends recommended her profile. And I'm just looking through the books that she read last year. The first one is A Good Girl's Guide to Murder. The case was closed 5 years ago. Schoolgirl Andy Bell was murdered by Sal Singh. The police knew he did it. Everyone in town knows he did it. But having grown up in the same small town that was consumed by the murder, Pipa Fitz M. Moby isn't so sure. When she chooses the case as a topic for her final year project, she starts to uncover secrets that someone in town desperately wants to stay hidden. And if the real killer is still out there, how far will they go to keep Pip from knowing the truth? I'm not so much into fiction. However, if it is recommended to me, I will read it. Such as like the next book in her list is The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. That was such a good book. It talks about like old school Hollywood, glitz and glamour, and not really knowing the truth about celebrities. So after that one is All Good People Here by Ashley Flowers. Everyone from Wakarusa, Indiana remembers the case of January Jacobs, who was found dead in a ditch hours after her family awoke to find her gone. Margot Davies was 6 at the time, the same age as January, and they were next door neighbors. In the 20 years since, Margot has grown up, moved away, and become a big city journalist, but she's always been haunted by the fear that it could have been her. And the worst part is, January's killer has never been brought to justice. The Maid by Nita Prose, and this has been recommended multiple times by different friends. Molly Gray is not like everyone else. She struggles with social skills and misreads the intentions of others. Her Gran used to interpret the world for her, comforting, codifying it into simple rules that Molly could live by. Since Gran died a few months ago, 25-year-old Molly has been navigating life's complexities all by herself. No matter, she throws herself with gusto into the work as a hotel maid. Her unique character, along with obsessive love of cleaning and proper etiquette, make her an ideal fit for the job. She delights in donning her crisp uniform each morning, stocking her cart with minute soaps and bottles, and returning guest rooms at the Regency Grand Hotel to a state of perfection. But Molly's orderly life is upended by the day she enters the suite of the infamous and wealthy Charles Black, only to find it in a state of disarray and Mr. Black himself dead in his bed. Before she knows what's happening, Molly's unusual demeanor has the police stalking her as a lead suspect. She quickly finds herself caught in a web of deception, one she has no idea how to untangle. Fortunately for Molly, friends she never knew had unite with her in a search for clues to what really happened to Mr. Black. But will they be able to find the real killer before it's too late? A clue-like locked room mystery and a heartwarming journey of the spirit, The Maid explores what it means to be the same as everyone else and yet entirely different, and reveals that all mysteries can be solved through connection to the human heart. Okay, that makes sense, like why a lot of people really like that book. Daisy Jones and the Six by Taylor Jenkins Reid, the same author who wrote the Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. So now I'm already expecting that this book would probably be good, just as good as the other book that I read from her. Daisy is a girl coming of age in LA in her late 60s, sneaking into clubs on the Sunset Strip, sleeping with rock stars, and dreaming of singing at the Whiskey A Go-Go. The sex and drugs are thrilling, but it's the rock and roll she loves most. By the time she's 20, her voice is getting noticed, and she has the kind of heedlessly beauty that makes people do crazy things. Also getting noticed is the Six, a band led by the brooding Billy Dunn. On the eve of the first tour, his girlfriend Camilla finds out she's pregnant, and with the pressure of impending fatherhood and fame, Billy goes a little wild on the road. Daisy and Billy cross paths when a producer realizes that the key of supercharged success is to put the two together. What happens next will become the stuff of legend. The making of that legend is chronicled in this riveting and unforgettable novel, written as the oral history of one of the biggest bands of the 70s. Taylor Jenkins Reid, a talented writer who takes her work to a new level with Daisy Jones and the Six, brilliantly captures a place and time in an utterly distinctive voice. How old is she? So obviously not of age to have lived in the 1940s, 1950s, 60s, 70s, like the time periods that she's writing on. But she does a really good job at painting the scene to how we would expect the 1940s, 50s, 60s, 70s to be. So she does a lot of research, or I can tell she does a lot of research into her book. Good for her. The Tattooist of Auschwitz by Heather Morse. This is a book that has been on my reading list for a very long time. In April 1942, Lal Sokolov, a Slovakian Jew, is forcibly transported to the concentration camps at Auschwitz-Birkenau. When his captors discover that he speaks several languages, he is put to work as a Tätowierer, the German word for tattooist, tasked with permanently marking his fellow prisoners. Imprisoned for more than 2.5 years, Lel witnesses horrific atrocities and barbarism, but also horrible acts of bravery and compassion. Risking his own life, he uses his privileged position to exchange jewels and monies from murdered Jews for food to keep his fellow prisoners alive. One day, in July 1942, Lel, prisoner 32407, comforts a trembling young woman waiting in line to have the number 34902 tattooed onto her arm. Her name is Gita, and the first encounter And in that first encounter, Lyle vows to somehow survive the camp and marry her. A vivid, harrowing, and ultimately hopeful recreation of Sokolov's experience as a man who tattooed the arms of thousands of prisoners with what would become one of the most potent symbols of the Holocaust. The tattooist of Auschwitz is also a testament to the endurance of love and humanity under the darkest possible conditions. Watch Me Disappear by Janelle Brown. It's been a year since Billy Flanagan, a beautiful, charismatic Berkeley mom with an inviolable life, went on a solo hike in desolation wilderness and vanished from the trail. No body, only a hiking boot, has ever been found. Billy's husband and teenage daughter cope with her death and the best they can. Jonathan drinks, Olivia grows remote. But then Olivia starts having waking dreams. Rather her solution, hallucinations that her mom is still alive. Jonathan worries about Olivia's emotional stability until he starts unearthing secrets from Billy's past that bring into question everything he thought he knew about his wife. Together, Olive and Jonathan embark on a quest for the truth about Billy, their family, and the stories we tell ourselves about the people we love. It's a 3.69 star rating on Goodreads, but it seems like the plot sounds really good. For the Wolf, Hannah F. Whitten. The first daughter is for the throne, the second daughter is for the wolf. As the only second daughter born in centuries, Red has one purpose: to be sacrificed to the wolf in the woods, and hope he'll return the world's captured gods. Red is almost relieved to go. Plagued by dangerous powers she can't control, at least she knows that in the Boulder Wood, she can't hurt those she loves again. But the legends lie, the wolf is a man, not a monster. Her magic is a calling, not a curse. And if she doesn't learn how to use it, the monsters the gods have become will swallow the world and her world whole. So this book kind of sounds like Frozen, only a little bit more messed up. Was it Elsa and Anna? Anna was a second born, and she didn't have the powers, but Elsa did. And there's no sacrificing. Kind of, because they locked up Elsa, so I guess you can consider it a sacrifice. Anyway, Everything We Keep by Carrie Lonsdale. Sous chef Amy Tierney has the perfect recipe for the perfect life. Marry her childhood sweetheart, raise a family, and buy out her parents' restaurant. But when her fiancé James Donato vanishes in a boating accident, her well-baked future is swept out to sea. Instead of walking down the aisle on their wedding day, Amy is at James' funeral, a funeral that leaves her more unsettled than at peace. Duh. As Amy struggles to reconstruct her life, she delves deeper into James' disappearance. What she uncovers is an ocean of secrets that make her question everything about the life they built together. And just below the surface is a truth that may set Amy free, or shatter her forever. Okay. I think that's like the normal or default setup for most like coming of age or discovery books, is that like their life is perfect and then all of a sudden someone that is very close to them dies. And then it's like, I don't know them. Alright, so let's look up the books that my other friends have recommended. So of course, can't really go without a book recommendation by Colleen Hoover. Last year I read Verity at the beginning of the year, and that book messed me up. So for those of you who've read it and didn't know, or those of you who didn't read it yet, there's a secret chapter which kind of talks more about like not Verity, but the main character's life after Verity. And it leaves me with more questions. But anyway, so Slammed. Following the unexpected death of her father, 18-year-old Lakin is forced to be the rock of both her mother and younger brother. Outwardly, she appears resilient and tenacious, but inwardly, she's losing hope. I feel like that's everyone. Enter Will Cooper, the attractive 21-year-old new neighbor with intriguing passion for slam poetry and a unique sense of humor. Within days of their introduction, Will and Lakin form an intense emotional connection, leaving Lakin with a renewed sense of hope. Not long after an intense, heart-stopping first date, they are slammed to the core when a shocking revelation forces a new relationship to a sudden halt. Daily interactions become impossibly painful as they struggle to find balance between their feelings that pull them together and the secret that keep them apart. It ends with us. When you go on Goodreads and you type in "it ends with us," it shows you like, it ends with us number 1, it ends with us number 2. This has actually also been another book of mine that has been on my reading list for a long time. I just never got around to it. Sometimes it is the one who loves you who hurts you the most. Lily hasn't always had it easy, but it never stopped her from working hard for the life she wants. She comes a long way from the town in Maine where she grew up. She graduated from college, moved to Boston, started her own business. So when she feels a spark with a gorgeous neurosurgeon named Ryle Kincaid, everything in Lily's life suddenly seems almost too good to be true. Ryle is assertive, stubborn, maybe even a little arrogant. Sounds really appropriate for a surgeon. He's also sensitive, brilliant, and has a total soft spot for Lily. And the way he looks in scrubs certainly doesn't hurt. Lily can't get him out of her head, but Ryle's complete aversion to relationships is disturbing because he's a neurosurgeon. Even as Lily finds herself becoming the exception to his no dating rule, she can't help but wonder what made him that way in the first place. As questions about her new relationship overwhelm her, so do thoughts of Atlas Corrigan, her first love and a link to the past she left behind. He was her kindred spirit, her protector. When Atlas suddenly reappears, everything Lily has built with Ryle is threatened. It was published on my birthday. Bag of Bones by Stephen King. 4 years after the sudden death of his wife, 48-year-old best-selling novelist Mike Noonan is still grieving, unable to write and plagued with vivid nightmares set at the Western Maine summer house he calls Sarah Laughs. Mike reluctantly returns to the lakeside getaway. There he finds his beloved Yankee town held in the grip of a powerful millionaire, Max DeVore, whose vindictive purpose is to take his 3-year-old granddaughter Kira away from her widowed young mother, Maddie. As Mike is drawn into Maddie and Kira's struggle, as he falls in love with both of them, he's also drawn into the mystery of Sarah Laughs. Now the site is ghostly visitations and escalating towers. That was very appropriate. What are the forces that have been unleashed here, and what do they want of Mike Noon? The Only One Left by Riley Sagar. Ooh, 4.5. Most of these books, is very neutral. At 17, Lenora Hope hung her sister with a rope. Oh, nice. Now reduced to a schoolyard chant, the Hope family murders shocked the Maine coast of one bloody night in 1929. What is it about Maine? Just curious. Seriously, several books have already, the scene is set in Maine. Is it because Maine is a sleepy town? Or not sleepy town, a sleepy state? That it's easier to be everyone gets murdered there? I need to ask my friend that. While most people assume 17-year-old Lenore was responsible, the police was never able to prove it. Other than her denial after killing, she has never spoke publicly about that night, nor has she set foot outside Hope's End, the cliffside mansion where the massacre occurred. Stabbed her father with a knife, took her mother's happy life. It is now 1983, and home health aide Kit McDeary arrives at a decaying Hope's End to care for Lenora after her previous nurse fled in the middle of the night. In her 70s and confined to a wheelchair, Lenora was rendered mute by a series of strokes and can only communicate with Kit by tapping out sentences on an old typewriter. One night, Lenora uses it to make a tantalizing offer. I want to tell you everything. Sounds like a murder mystery plot twist of The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. It wasn't me, Lenora said, but she's the only one not dead. That's creepy. As Kit helps Lenora write about the events leading to the Hope Valley Massacre, it becomes clear that there's more to the tale than people know. But when new details about her predecessor's departure comes to light, Kit starts to suspect Lenora might not be telling the complete truth, and that the seemingly harmless woman in her care could be far more dangerous than she first thought. Of course, because old ladies are scary. You don't know what they're capable of. Just saying. Grandma over there might be a sophisticated assassin. The old ladies are never a suspect. The Twisted Ones by T. Kingfisher. Man, my friends really do like murder mystery books. When a young woman clears out her deceased grandmother's home in rural North Carolina, at least it's not in Maine, she finds long hidden secrets about a strange colony of beings in the woods. When Mouse's dad asks her to clean out her dead grandmother's house, she says, yes, after all, how bad could it be? Answer, pretty bad. I love this. Answer, pretty bad. Answer, not good. Grandma was a hoarder, and her house is stuffed with useless rubbish. That would be horrific enough, but there's more. Mouse stumbles across her step-grandfather's journal, which at first seems to be filled with nonsensical rants, until Mouse encounters some of the terrifying things he described for herself. Alone in the woods with her dog, Mouse finds herself face-to-face with a series of impossible terrors because sometimes the things that go bump in the night are real, and they're looking for you, and if she doesn't face them head-on, she might not survive to tell the tale. Interesting. So the next 3 books are written by Alex North. The Angel Maker. Goodreads rates this book at 3.44, so meh. Growing up in a beautiful house in the English countryside, Katie Shaw lived a charming life. At the cusp of graduation, she has big dreams, a devoted boyfriend, and a little brother she protected fiercely, until the day a violent stranger changed the fate of her family forever. Years later, unable to live down the guilt surrounded by what happened to her brother Chris, and now with a child of her own to protect, Katie struggles to separate the real threats from the imagined. Then she gets a phone call. Chris has gone missing and needs his big sister once more. Meanwhile, Detective Lawrence Page is facing a particularly gruesome crime. A distinguished professor of fate and free will has been brutally murdered just hours after firing his staff. All the leads point back to old cases, the gruesome attack on teenager Christopher Shaw, and the despicable crimes of a notorious serial killer who, legend has it, could see the future. A dark, suspenseful new thriller about the mysteries of fate, the unbreakable bond of siblings, and a notorious serial killer who is said to know the theater. So the Shadows by Alex North. You knew a teenager like Charlie Crabtree, a dark imagination, a sinister smile, always on the outside of the group. Some part of you suspected he might be capable of doing something awful. 25 years ago, Crabtree did just that, committed a murder so shocking that it's attracted the strange kind of infamy that only exists on the darkest corners of the internet, and inspired more than one copycat. Paul Adams remembers the case all too well. Crabtree and his victim were Paul's friends. Paul had slowly pulled his life back together, but now his mother, old and suffered from dementia, has taken a turn for the worse. Though every inch of him resists, it's time to come home.
It is not long before things start to go wrong. Paul learns that Detective Amanda Beck is investigating another copycat that has struck in the nearby town of Featherbank. His mother's distress insisted that there's something in the house, and that someone is following him, which reminds him of the most unsettling thing about that awful day 25 years ago.
It wasn't just a murder.
It was the fact that afterward, Charlie Crabtree was never seen again.
The Whisper Man almost sounds like it's gonna be a play on the Boogeyman, or was it the other one? The Candyman.
After the sudden death of his wife, Tom Kennedy believes a fresh start will help him and his young son Jake heal. A new beginning, a new house, a new town, Featherbank. But the town has a dark past. 20 years ago, a serial killer abducted and murdered the residents. Until Frank Carter was finally caught, he was nicknamed the Whisper Man, for he would lure his victims out by whispering all at their windows at night.
Oh, hell no. Hell no.
Just as Tom and Jake settle into the new home, a young boy vanishes. His disappearance bears an unnerving resemblance to Frank Carter's crimes. Reigniting old rumors that he prayed with an accomplice. Now detectives Amanda Beck and Peter Willis must find the boy before it's too late, even if that means Pete has to revisit his great foe in prison, the Whisper Man. And then Jake begins acting strangely. He hears a whispering at his window.
Shoot it. The Silent Patient. I think this was recommended to me last year, but I didn't get around to it. Sorry. It's got a 4.18 star review on Goodreads, so obviously it's a good book. Author is Alex Michaelides.
Alicia Berenson's life is seemingly perfect. A famous painter, married to an in-demand fashion photographer, she lives in a ground house with big windows overlooking a park in one of London's most desirable areas. One evening, her husband Gabriel returns home late from a fashion shoot, and Alicia shoots him 5 times in the face and then never speaks another word.
What the hell? Seemingly perfect, shoots her husband 5 times in the face. After working.
Good. Alicia's refusal to talk or give any kind of explanations turns into a domestic tragedy into something far grander, a mystery that captures the public imagination and casts Alicia into notoriety.
Yeah, because you shot your husband in the face 5 times after he came home from working.
The price of her art skyrockets, and she, the silent patient, is hidden away from the tabloids and spotlight at the Grove, a secure forensic unit in North London. Theo Faber is a criminal psychotherapist who has waited a long time for the opportunity to work with Alicia. His determination to get her to talk and unravel the mystery of why she shot her husband takes him down a twisting path into his own motivations in search for the truth that threatens to consume him. The Silent Patient is a shocking psychological thriller of a woman's act of violence against her husband and the therapist obsessed with uncovering her motive.
The Maidens, again by Alex Michaelides. This one's a 3.62, so me. But it was a nominee for the Best Mystery and Thriller of 2021.
Edward Fosca is a murderer. Of this, Mariana is certain. But Fosca is untouchable. A handsome and charismatic Greek tragedy professor at Cambridge University, Fosca is adored by staff and students alike, particularly by the members of a secret society of female students known as the Maidens. Mariana Andros is a brilliant but troubled Greek therapist who becomes fixated on the Maidens when one member, a friend of Mariana's niece, Zoe, is found murdered at Cambridge. Mariana, who was once herself a student at the university, quickly suspects that behind the idyllic beauty of the spires and turrets and beneath the ancient traditions lies something sinister, and that she becomes convinced that despite his alibi, Edward Fosca is guilty of the murder. But why would the professor target one of his students? And why does he keep returning to the rites of Persephone, the maiden, and her journey to the underworld? When another body is found, Mariana's obsession with proving Fosca's guilt spirals out of control, threatening to destroy her credibility as well as her closest relationships. But Mariana is determined to stop the killer, even if it costs her everything, including her own life.
Kind of reminds me of I think it was like the latest series of You, where Joe, assumes a new identity, goes to London and stuff, and then now he's involved in a murder mystery. But I didn't finish You because I think, after a while, it just kind of got boring. I Take My Coffee Black. Reflections on Tupac, Musical Theater, Faith, and Being Black in America by Tyler Merritt and Jimmy Kimmel Ford.
In the wake of his deeply powerful viral videos Before You Call the Cops and Walking While Black, Tyler Merritt shares his experience as a black man in America with truth, humor, and poignancy. Tyler Merritt's video Before You Call the Cops have been viewed millions of times. He appeared on Jimmy Kimmel's and Sports Illustrated and has been profiled in the New York Times. The viral video's main point, the more you know someone, the more empathy, understanding, compassion you have for that person, is a springboard for this book. By sharing his highs and exposing his lows, Tyler welcomes us into his world in order to help bridge the divides that seem to grow wider every day. In I Take My Coffee Black, Tyler tells his hilarious story from his own life as a black man in America. He talks about growing up in a multicultural community and realizing that he wasn't always welcome. How he quit sports for musical theater, that's where the girls were, and how Jesus barged in uninvited and changed his life forever. It all starts with a triple FAT goose jacket. To how he ended up at a small Bible college in Santa Cruz because he thought they had a great theater program. They didn't. Throughout his stories, he also seamlessly weaves in lessons about privilege, the legacy of lynching, and sharecropping, and why you don't cross black mamas. He teaches readers about the history of encoded racism that still undergirds our society today. By turns witty, insightful, touching, and laugh out loud funny, I Take My Coffee Black paints a portrait of black manhood in America and enlightens, illuminates, and entertains, ultimately building the kind of empathy that might just be the antidote against the racial injustice in our society.
Ooh! 4.51 star reading on Goodreads. Project Hail Mary by Andy Weir. There.
Ryland Grace is the sole survivor on a desperate last chance mission, and if he fails, humanity and the Earth itself will perish. Except that right now, he doesn't know that. He can't even remember his own name, let alone the nature of the assignment or how to complete it. All he knows is that he's been asleep for a very, very long time, and that he's just been awakened to find himself millions of miles from home with nothing but 2 corpses for company. His crewmate's dead, his memories fuzzily returning. Ryland realizes that an impossible task now confronts him. Hurtling through space on his tiny ship is up to him to puzzle out an impossible scientific mystery and conquer an extinction-level threat of our species. With the clock ticking down and the nearest human being light years away, he's got to do it all alone, or does he?
You know, if this book turns into a movie, they should totally hire Ryland Adams. Not because the name is Ryland, but okay, part of it is because it's the main character's name is Ryland Adams, but it's like his personality just fits. City of Brass by, oh my god, I cannot say that. S.A. Chakraborty. 4.15 star rating.
Nari has never believed in magic. Certainly she has power on the streets of 18th century Cairo. She is a con woman of unsurpassed talent, but she knows better than anyone that the trade she uses to get by palm reading, czars, healings, are all tricks, sleights of hands, learned skills, and means to the delightful end of swiftly Ottoman nobles. But when Nari accidentally summons an equally sly, darkly mysterious Dijon warrior to her side during one of her cons, she's forced to accept that the magical world she thought only existed in childhood stories is real. For the warrior tells her a new tale across hot, windswept sands teeming with creatures of fire, and rivers where the mythical myriads sleep, past ruins of once magnificent human metropolises, and mountains where the circling hawks are not what they seem, lies Daevabad, the legendary city of brass, a city to which Nari is irrevocably bound. In that city, behind gilded brass walls, laced with enchantments behind the 6 gates of the 6 Dijon tribes, old resentments are simmering. And when Nari decides to enter this world, she learns that the true power is fierce and brutal, that magic cannot shield her from the dangerous web of court politics. Not even the cleverest of schemes can have deadly consequences. After all, there's a reason why they say be careful for what you wish for.
And the last one, Just the Nicest Couple by Mary Kubica. 2 couples, 2 close friends, 1 missing husband. Oop.
Jake Hayes is missing. This much is certain. At first, his wife Nina thinks he's blowing off steam at a friend's house after the heated fight the night before. But then a day goes by, 2 days, 5, and Jake is still nowhere to be found. Lily Scott, Nina's friend and coworker, thinks she may have been the last one to see Jake before he went missing. After Lily confesses everything to her husband, Christian, the two decide that nobody can find out what happened heading up to Jake's disappearance, especially not Nina. But Nina is out there looking for her husband. She won't stop until the truth is discovered.
So, those are all the books that I hopefully will be able to accomplish in 2023. There are a couple books in my repertoire that I have to read because it was recommended last year. So yeah. And with every book I read, I will make a review because that's what I'm planning on doing for my channel. Oh, wait. I do have 2 more book recommendations from YouTube. So Forky Fork on my thoughts on Britney Spears and Jamie Lynn Spears' book recommended that I read Mariah Carey's memoir as well as Jessica Simpson's. So I just got Mariah Carey's memoir from the library, so I will be reading that as well. It's a lot of books that I will be reading and what I want to read. So thanks for watching. I'm very self-conscious because Patrick is right there. And I don't like recording in front of him. Stop. Okay, bye.